Burton. Welcome to my matrix of sources for my manuscript. Turn off my transcriptions here. Okay, as you can see, I've organized my topics for my paper into 5 different categories. I have the benefits of CTE programs of study, really looking at, how our CTE, career and tech ed, programming is connecting students to the workforce as well as post-secondary education as well as careers. We'll also look at the course taking patterns of students and the intentionality around that, as well as the academic courses needed that help students stay on track or helps them as they persist in a CTE pathway. Another theme is advising practices in career and tech ed. And the reason why I chose this is, our our students don't always have the information that they need to make a decision about their future, and our counselors kind of help to fill that gap. But we need our counselors to understand what CTE is as well. So looking at that influence and support that that role can provide, I think is also impactful. This next theme is on that high school student experience. So, what motivated that student to choose a particular pathway and program of study? What allowed them, or, what was it that motivated them to persist? And then equitable access to career and technical education programs. And we'll take a look at some barriers for students who are in special populations. So as I start to go into my resources here, I'll talk a little bit about each one and or how they relate back to the themes or the overall theme of influences contributing to high school student persistence in CTE pathways. So under benefits, the first resource I have listed here is Pathways to Prosperity. So when this research study came out of Harvard University back in 2011, it was a big deal to the field. CTE through this study was finally being recognized as something of value for all students, not just for those not going to college. And then also the research in this particular study looks comparatively at other countries and what they're doing to advance CTE and create links to their workforce needs. As we move into high school, the next one around enhancing students' transitions to college and careers. This article has a lot to do with high school career academies. We've seen, especially in large districts, more districts move to a career academy model, and gleaning from that, what are some best practices there to help a comprehensive high school or a district like mine ensure that they are implementing career academies in a way that is truly leading to student outcomes. The next article is a CTE data story. This is an easy breezy link. It is through the Department of Education, and it looks at persistence of CTE concentrators and the various career clusters that's happening in. And then the next couple of articles in this theme really focus on some of the special populations in CTE and the unequal dividend. So looks at some disproportionality by race and gender in CTE outcomes in the labor market. And then also on special populations. So this is something that CTE districts now must report on with the new comprehensive local needs assessment requirements mandated under the federal Perkins 5 legislation. And so then when we move into the next theme around course taking patterns, meandering towards graduation, another great article. It came out a couple of years ago. Really like this article and how it looks at high school diploma requirements across the country, as well as opportunities for students to provide more intentionality in course taking selection for students so that they are truly ready for the next level, whatever that looks like based on their aspirations for after high school. Algebra and the unprepared learner, again, really focusing on taking this course, usually in the ninth grade, is linked to successful completion of additional advanced level courses, as well as persistence in post-secondary education. So we'll take a look at that. And then I'll also include some information on the timing of CTE courses. So if students get access to CTE like middle school, or if they don't get that until later in their high school experience, how that might impact student outcomes in CTE as students either become or do not become CTE concentrators. It will also look at differences in course taking by gender, race, and ethnicity, as well as tracking implications. So the last article in that space deals with looking at tracking and policy, curricular policy in the state of Texas that is working to prevent that in CTE pathways. The next theme is around advising and looking at those advising practices that are not just happening in our school counseling departments, but also hopefully within the CTE courses themselves. Our teachers are have great ways to talk about the discipline and hopefully their experience in the industry, if that's where they came from. The first article is more around what states can do. So it provides a pretty high level view of what states can do to help better prepare students for life after high school. I plan to link this to Indiana's new GPS accountability system. So the GPS is Graduates Prepared to Succeed. And this will be how schools across the state in Indiana will measure students' college and career readiness. And then I'll also look at trends in vocational guidance. So kind of taking a historical look there, and the role of the counselor as part of this theme. So we'll look at the comparison of career development on both CTE and non-CTE students. And then the next theme is around high school student experiences and interests. So really, what is it that, what is the reason why students are choosing CTE pathways? What do they want to get out of them? How do they plan to use it in meeting their future goals? And then also, how do career academies support CTE enrollment? We'll also look at integrating academics within CTE programs and bringing in that sort of student engagement perspective. And should CTE, should this lead to college? How do we impress upon students that some college may be necessary to get the job that they want? And then we'll also review literature that supports equitable practices as it relates to the student's experience in career and technical education. And then the final theme is on equitable access to career and technical education. And I'll ground this section in some general framing around social justice in education with evidence from Bell Hooks and Freire. The big blur is from Jobs from the Future, looks at seamless transitions from secondary to post-secondary education. This is a hot topic currently in the education workforce post-secondary space, and really kind of a triangulation to help increase persistence in post-secondary and student credential completion. And then finally, I'll look at perceptions and policy that negatively impact students who are undocumented, particularly our high school students who are undocumented, by not allowing access to in-state tuition rates or financial aid support. These laws are, I believe, unjust, and there is research that supports that in states where this is not the case, where undocumented students do have access to in-state tuition rates, that these students have consistently higher graduation rates from high school. So that is the overview of my matrix and my current resources. And I look forward to your feedback, and I'll see you Wednesday. Thank you.